So today is Wednesday, and that means it's time to talk about the latest in my Disney Canon rewatch. We're looking at the 33rd Disney animated film, Pocahontas, and this is a really hard movie for me to talk about because I don't really care for it. I don't think it's a good movie, and it's hard for some reason for me to explain a little bit about why I don't like this movie, but I'm going to do my best. So this film tells the story of Pocahontas, who was a Powhatan woman, or in real life it was actually a girl, who in 1607 met John Smith, the English colonizer in Jamestown, and helped save him from the fire from her father, who was going to kill John Smith. A lot of people say that this actually really didn't happen, that John Smith made it up after she had died as a somewhat popular figure in Great Britain. And it doesn't really matter for the course of this story if it was necessarily true or not true, the story, but the historical inaccuracies do bother me in this film. Other people can wave it off, and I totally respect that, but for me, it's hard because every movie that's based on historical events is historically inaccurate. Every single one. But I feel like what this movie does with this story is it takes these characters that are really important to people and a life that was really brutal, and I feel like it turns it into a really badly written, really poorly developed characters and a really pretty bad movie. And so that's where I don't have a problem with historically inaccurate movies. I have a problem with bad historically inaccurate movies, and I think this is it. There's a couple redeeming factors to it, but I really don't like this movie. So let me tell you a little bit why I don't like it. First of all, I find Pocahontas a really, really bland character. And at best bland. I think she, refuses to listen to anybody. She's stubborn, she's obstinate, and that could be good. I love Ariel. She's one of my favorites, and she's very stubborn and obstinate. But the thing about Ariel is that Ariel has a vision of what she wants in her life. She sees something better. She wants something better. She tries to explain that to other people, and they don't listen. Whereas Pocahontas is the reverse. She doesn't have a vision. She doesn't know what's going on in her life, what she wants, and that could be compelling. But instead, she just refuses to listen to anybody else, and she refuses to see anybody else's vision, and she just kind of ends up being sort of preachy and kind of annoying to me, and just nothing really going for me. I feel like this movie ends up being a little bit Twilight-ish. Yeah, you could say that's harsh, but I really do think it's basically a love triangle, and it has two pretty bland, boring lead characters who stare at each other and are preachy and are made for each other and whatever like that. And so, and this is about real people. It's not about vampires. And so that's where it bothers me. Again, I don't mind historically inaccurate movies. I mind bad historically inaccurate movies. And so in this movie, you do have some nice animation. It's still not my favorite. I don't love the animation because everything is very, very geometric, which could be cool, but I don't know, I just don't particularly find it pleasant to look at. I mean, Pocahontas is basically two triangles, and you've got Ratcliffe, who is basically a giant rectangle. And I'd say the Colors of the Wind sequence is beautifully animated with the colors and the way that they show the sort of the nature and everything. And I do like that song.
Have you ever heard the wolf cry to the blue corn moon, or ask the grinning bobcat why he grinned? Can you sing with all the voices of the mountain? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind?
And but it's used in a scene that is very, very bland. It's just not, I just have no investment in this romance between John Smith and Pocahontas. And one thing I think is so weird is that if Pocahontas really did do this with the fire and really did happen, she was probably 9, 10, 11, something around that age. So what I don't understand is you have Walt Disney animated films that almost always insist upon having their leads be adolescent women, and you think most of their movies are made with children in mind. Why not have a story about a girl who meets a man and decides to stop this thing from happening? You know, you could have a story about a kid that the kids could relate to. That would be so cool. I don't understand why you have to turn her into this young adult with this horrible, sappy romance. And there's a lot of things about the romance that really bother me. I mean, they just turn Pocahontas into this character that is just teaching John Smith the best way to live. And I think it would have been so much better if they had made her not speak English, so they would have had to have communicated using other ways. A lot of little moments that really bother me, like when he shows her his money and she's like, oh, what is that? In our people, we don't value that, you know? And it's like, yes, you do. The Native American people used currency. They had coinage. They had, she's the daughter of a chief. She certainly would be aware of the value of gold. I mean, and precious metals and things like that. And so it just comes off as so patronizing, so ridiculous. And there's so many moments like that, you know, where she's like teaching him the right way to live. And I just find it groan-inducing and painful. And I mean, there's a couple, the only really good thing I think about their whole relationship is I think one of Disney's most like passionate kisses, but because I don't care about the couple, I don't really care about the passionate kiss. And then you have Ratcliffe, who just bothers me to no end. He is such a complete caricature. He, gets off of the boat and immediately starts digging for gold in the beach, and singing, mine, 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 mine.
With all you got in your boys, dig up Virginia, boys. Mine, boys, mine every mountain, and dig, boys. Dig till you drop, grab a pick, boys. Quick, boys. Shove in a shovel, uncover those lovely pebbles that sparkle and shine. It's gold, and it's mine, mine, mine.
This is a person who was literally starving to death. I mean, the Jamestown colonists were starving. They ended up in conflict for the most part with the Indians is because they were starving and they were, invading their lands and invading their things. And so to paint him as this man who just literally has these visions of gold and he's going to get off the boat and just start digging. I mean, just to put some perspective on it, I'd like you to hear, this is how Radcliffe actually died. When the sly old king spied a fitting time, cut them all off, only surprised Captain Ratcliffe alive, who caused to be bound unto a tree naked with a fire before, and by women his flesh was scraped from his bones with mussel shells, and before his face thrown into the fire, and so for want of circumcision miserably perished. Is that anything of the type of character that you get in this movie? No. And again, I don't care if it's historically inaccurate. I care if it's bad movie that's historically inaccurate. And it's just so one note. It's such a complete caricature, complete ridiculous. There's never a moment of humanity in this man. And I think the best villains, you have a moment of humanity. You have a moment where you relate to him. Even in Ursula, even a Scar that are really, really, outright villains, you do have moments where they feel at least a little bit human in their dialogue, or you laugh with them, or you relate to them in some way. With Ratcliffe, he's just a big bad meanie who wants money, and I just hate his character so much. I think Mine, Mine, Mine is the worst Disney song ever written. I hate it. And I think that Stephen Schwartz was no Howard Ashman in this movie. I think his lyrics are poor. Even the song that I actually do like coming up, I think the lyrics are not really that good, to be honest. I guess the one thing I think that saves this movie from being truly terrible is I do think the building momentum leading up to the Savages number, even though I think the lyrics aren't that great in the song, I do think that it's beautifully animated, that song, and I think that the message of the song is really good. I think that the idea of both sides seeing the other side as savages is something that's really good to talk to kids about. This is the one message from the movie I think is really solid, that, you know, we see people that are different than us as these savages, but they can see us the same way. You know, it just depends on kind of what we're looking at and what we're looking for. And I do think it builds momentum really well to that point, and it's a really pretty good song. And I think that her choice in the end is actually pretty good. The fact that she chooses to stay with her people, and so I guess I kind of like that. And I think that there's some cute moments with the different animal characters. And of course you have the weirdness of this movie, the fact that the animals don't talk, but the tree talks, and you've got the Mother Willow, and you know, she's giving them advice and whatever, and that's fine. And it also bothers me that the Powhatan tribe reached out to Disney. They tried to get them to not make this film because of the true story of Pocahontas and the horrible life that she really did lead, and the way that she was taken to England, and you know, so they died in this horror, I think of smallpox or something like that. You know, just died a really horrible death. And, you know, so they tried to get them to not make this movie, but the fact that Disney wasn't even open to any of their input at all makes me really sad. Chief Roy Crazy Horse of the Powhatan tribe said, in 1995, Roy Disney decided to release an animated movie about a Powhatan woman known as Pocahontas. In answer to a complaint by the Powhatan Nation, he claims the film is responsible, accurate, and respectful. We of the Powhatan Nation disagree. The film distorts history beyond recognition. Our offers to assist Disney with cultural and historical accuracy were rejected. Our efforts urging him to reconsider his misguided mission were spurred. I think that's really, really awful, actually, that Disney had the chance to work with the Powhatan tribe on at least some like cultural details, on some historical details, and they couldn't care less. They couldn't care less, and that just makes me really sad. And the thing that's frustrating is that if you were going to tell a story of a Native American person, why not do Sacagawea? That's such a more positive story. It's a way more positive life. It has adventure, it has exploration, it has love. She would have been way better than Pocahontas. And I don't know, it just drives me crazy that they took this story of a person who was like 11, who was a girl who did this courageous thing, and they turn it into this sappy Twilight level of romance that I just couldn't care less about. And so I don't like this movie. I don't think it's good. I do think the Savage number saves it from being an F for me. But other than that, I don't think... Oh, I also really like Judy Kuhn's vocals on Pocahontas. I think that she's one of the better Disney singers. She's very, very good. But other than that, none of the other vocal work does anything for me. Mel Gibson, And I don't like this movie. I don't think it's good. Sorry. If you like it, more power to you. That's awesome. I love it that you like it. But for me, I give this film a D-. Can't get over the way that it treats these real life characters and turns them into these complete caricatures. You know what you think about Pocahontas? Put in the comments below. Am I being too harsh? Do you like it? Explain to me why it works for you. And thanks so much. Please subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to you later. Bye.